Alright, man, Shalom to the elect of the nation of Israel. First and foremost, I'd like to start this lesson by giving all praises, honor, and glory to the Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha, Kodash. Next, it's double honors to the elder apostles and bishops of Great Millstone who rule well and taught us this 100% truth. Salutations unto the 140 and 4,000. Doing the work of the Lord in all truth, honor, and sincerity, and shalom to the 1/3 men, women, and children who believe in this word being taught unto them. It's your brother, I'm Nawa Allah, back at you with another lesson entitled Leave the World Behind, Stay Kingdom Minded. You know, because ultimately we're in a time where, you know, the time where we're just gonna have to give it all up. You know, that's imminent. That's not too far away from us, and it's like we have to be able to fully sacrifice our lives here on this side in order for us to inherit the spiritual blessings, man. Hold on. One sec. See if I can find this. Yeah, so this is Matthew 16, and let's start at 24. It says, Then said Yahweh Shai unto his disciples, If any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. So, you know, part of being in this truth is you gonna have to deny yourself. You know, maybe you was used to a particular lifestyle, you know, particular quality of living that you no longer can embody now that you're in this truth. You know, or maybe, yeah, you know, just things ain't as smooth as they once were, you know, because now you have to take up your cross and follow Yahweh Shai. You have to enter into the sufferings of Yahweh Shai in order, you know, it says that in Romans 8, you know, that we suffer with him so that ultimately what happens, we can then be glorified with him, okay? So it says in verse 25, For whosoever shall save his life shall lose it, and whosoever will lose his life for my sake shall find it. So that's what, you know, we gotta understand, is that really what the world would see as us losing our lives really it's a minuscule sacrifice. And this world is on its way out anyway. Esau's world ain't got much longer, man. You can see that. You know, I mean, hey, what's it, like a month's time, it's gonna be America's 250th year, you know, of being established, being a power, being in rulership. And, you know, kingdoms, you know, the average lifespan of a kingdom is you know, around 250 years. So, you know, we already see the trajectory of prophecy. And then you have actual statistics and facts and figures that line up and support what the prophecies are saying. Okay? It says in verse 26, For what is a man profited if he shall gain the whole world? Or what shall a man give? Salakia, for what is a man profited if he shall gain the whole world and lose his soul? You know, because ultimately you don't gain. That's a loss. Right? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? And really there's nothing that you can give in exchange for your soul that will make it meaningful or worthwhile. That's the bit of truth, man. So it's like we just gotta learn to just enjoy the hardness, you know, take the bitter with the sweet. You know, and right now we're in the bitter. But guess what? You know, and hey, we all love sweet things, right? You know, Jake, hey, that's one thing about Jake. Jake got a sweet tooth, bro. You know, so that's why we add Jake to like the bitter herbs and that. You know, they may not be too willing. They might be a bit reluctant, but you know, sometimes Jake be getting in their right mind and they do what they need to do. But you know, that's the bitter, which is needful. As bitter as it is, it's needful for our spiritual development. Remember, we're pretty much in God training, right, for the kingdom. And then you have the sweet, which, hey, as we know, Jake got a sweet tooth, man, but guess what? We gonna be able to indulge in those sweet pleasures forever. All we have to indulge in is the bitter for a season for us to indulge in the sweetness forever. Let that sink in. So once again, leave the world behind, stay kingdom minded, man. This is 1 John chapter 2 and verse 15. It reads, "Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him." So if you love the world, man, the love of the Father is not in you. And it's like, you've got all manner of distraction going on right now. You had Arsenal support. They won the Champions League. Don't quote me on that. I'm not really into football, so yeah. But I believe it's that. We still haven't done it 22 years. That was a whole thing. That's even though they had the parade happen on Sunday, just gone. It's Tuesday today. But even like that, you still got people in that spirit. You know how it gets. You get in the workplace and that, and your colleague that supports Chelsea, you're gonna rub it in his face or what? It's just things like that, bro. Everything, but their minds are in the world. Their minds are caught up in this life. Or you got nigger culture. You got Jakes whose minds are just caught up in nigger culture, man. What happened to Boosie now? TR Trizzy, Big Tobes, all immersed in that. Right? It says, "Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes and the pride of life is not of the Father, but is of the world." So it's like, that's why you got to examine. That's why we have to examine ourselves, and we got to check what spirit we be coming in, because it's very easy to veer into the lust of the flesh and the love of this world. But that's why we have to pray to stay focused on the mission, man. Stay locked into what's required of us, and continuing with this without wavering. Okay, because verse 17 tells us how, and the world passeth away, and the lust thereof, but he that doeth the will of the Most High abideth forever. And that's what we want. Again, going back to that sweet, we want to abide forever. We want to be numbered amongst the first fruits of the kingdom of Israel. We want to see our kingdom being erected from the ground up. Not 1,000 years later. You come through one of the elect's line, and you kind of Esau's all about to come off the scene now, because he gonna be around for another 1,000 years in the kingdom. But when Esau's about to be off the scene, that's when you coming back. Which ultimately we all gonna be happy Esau's not here no more. But the point is, we want to see this from the ground up, man. That's the goal. You see, that's what we're laboring for. And sometimes you get so bogged down in this life, and the things that you suffer, and it's like whoa, hold on, I've done forsaken everything. Hold on a minute, what am I actually gonna get out of this? Matthew 19 and wait there, lady. Matthew 19 and 27 says, "Then answered Yahushua, then answered Peter and said unto him, Behold, we have forsaken all and followed thee. What shall we have therefore?" And that's a valid question to ask, considering the things that the prophets of old, and even as of now, that we've had to give up. Maybe certain jobs, positions, family members, careers, money, so many different things that we've collectively had to give up to serve Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. And we, these things don't get spoken of because really, in the grand scheme of things, they don't matter. In the grand scheme of things, those things really don't matter, man. If you understand, that's why Elder Apostle Gabar says you have to understand what you're involved in. If you really understand what you're involved in, you'll come to the realization that really none of those things matter, man. Because we're gonna, hey man, let me stop talking, man. Verse 28, and Yahweh Shai said unto them, verily I say unto you, that ye, he says, verily, hold on a minute. Let me see where I'm on part is more. Go right here. We got a whole lot promised to us, man. And we're at the beginning stages of that. And one of the precepts that I keep reciting, that's been on my spirit heavy lately, is, amen, better is the end of a thing than the beginning thereof. Because we've experienced the trials, the tribulations, the hell, the heartbreak, the disappointments, and what you have it. We've experienced all of that, but we're coming into a time where those things, it's just going to be a thing of the past, man. It's just going to be a part of the story, and it's just going to be a season that we had to endure for a little while, So 28, and Yahushua said unto them, verily I say unto you, that ye which have followed me in the regeneration, when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, ye also shall sit upon the 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. So we're going to have that position over the rest of the nation of Israel, because the elect are going to be, the 144,000. That's going to be the new governing body of not just earth, but really creation as a whole, the universe, everything. That's going to be the governing body, and Yahweh Shai is going to be at the head of that, followed by King David, and you're going to have the rest of the 144,000. That's going to be your new righteous government, and that's going to be forever, might I add. Okay? And everyone that have forsaken houses, or brethren, or sisters, or father, or mother, or wife, or children, or lands, for my name's sake, shall receive 100-fold, and shall inherit everlasting life. So you see, there was a list of different things that we have sacrificed just to follow Yahweh Shai. But none of those things matter, because if we do it for his name's sake, we're going to receive 100-fold and inherit everlasting life. So what is that? So I don't, in the grand scheme of things, everything you give up, really, it don't mean shit. It's like, okay, cool. We just have to learn to do things like water off a duck's back. You don't get too caught up in the here and now, because we patterning for the future, man. All right? For an eternal rest. We're patterning for that world without end. Because there's never going to, our age is never going to come to an end. How about that? Okay? This is Matthew 10. And verse 34. It says, think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. All right, so you got that should make it even easier to leave the world behind, because it's like you're not you trying to stay in this life, but it's like, for what? There ain't no, the Lord ain't sending peace down here, man. He's sending destruction, a sword. So that if you know that, why would you want to stay here? Okay? It says in verse 35, "For I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and the daughter against her mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law, and a man's foes shall be they of his own household." You see? So, because you got certain people, they may be offended, and maybe they don't want to continue because, they no longer see eye to eye with their favorite cousin, their favorite auntie, their favorite uncle, or their moms, whatever the case may be. But let me tell you this, bro. There's no point looking back. Because look, man, one thing about this truth, you once you experience this truth, you're never the same. You don't just come into this truth and go back into the world and you return to your original state. Once you enter this truth, you're never the same after that, man. You pretty much done open a can of worms with that. And it's like, really, your best bet is to just continue to see how far, the rabbit hole goes, so to speak. You're better off doing that than to come into this truth and then go back into the world. So you're gonna have to accept that some of your foes are gonna be within your own household, and you might lose that relationship with your favorite auntie, or your favorite uncle, your favorite cousin. Or hey, that's happened to me, and I'll be one of many brothers. That's not a unique situation to me. Again, I'll be one of many brothers, man. But these are the things that we have to sacrifice in order to focus on the mission, man, and to stay kingdom minded. That's why 37 says, "He that loveth father or mother more than me is not worthy of me, and he that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me." So even that, man, your children, you pray and desire that our children can be saved. That would be beautiful. However, we have to also consider the fact, the option, that our children may not be saved. That's why the scriptures say to work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. But knowing that ultimately it's going to be worth it in the end, man. Although, we the scriptures say how we know in part and we prophesy in part. We don't know everything that the Lord is going to bless us with and how and to what magnitude and whatever. We just know that we're going to love it. Because the Lord knows what we like. And He going to give us, like T.I., you can have whatever you like, Isaiah 64:4, "For since the beginning of the world, men have not heard, nor perceived by the ear, neither have the eye seen, O power beside thee, what He hath prepared for him that waiteth for Him." So we don't even know the magnitude of the blessing that we're about to step into. We just know that we're going to be blessed. And you know what? That's enough to know for us to continue to endure. Just knowing that we're going to be blessed. We don't know what, to what magnitude, to what extent. I mean, we kind of get an idea because the scriptures do tell us. But I mean, what we read versus what our reality is going to be, miles apart. Miles apart, man. Just know that the Heavenly Father, He got us, man. Second Esdras 8:50, "For many great miseries shall be done to them that in the latter time shall dwell in the world, because they have walked in great pride." That's why if you're in that prideful spirit, we have to check that shit immediately. Because, pride goeth before destruction, man. And a haughty spirit before a fall. Okay? Esau kingdom is going to go down at the height of his pride. 51. But understand thou for thyself, and seek out the glory for such as be like thee. Be concerned with those who are, on the same mission as you are, man. Okay? For unto you is paradise opened, the tree of life is planted, the time to come is prepared, plenteous is made ready, a city is builded, and rest is allowed, yea, perfect goodness and wisdom. You see? The root of evil is sealed up from you, weakness and the moth is hid from you, and corruption is fled into hell to be forgotten. Sorrows are past, and in the end is showed the treasure of immortality. And therefore ask thou no more questions concerning the multitude of them that perish. So it's like, hey, you just got to focus on us and what we're going to inherit, what we're going to receive, what comes with our salvation, what comes with being the first fruits. And then those that perish, man, don't worry about them. They gonna come back anyway. But right now they're not that important. Okay? So it says in verse 56, for when they had taken liberty, they despised the Most High, thought scorn of his law, and forsook his ways. This is why you can't be worried about these 2/3 niggas, man. Because this is they still embody this attitude today. Okay? Moreover, they have trodden down his righteous. Look how they treat us. And said in their heart that there is no God, yea, and that knowing they must die. So they gon' look, man, they're through, man. They just gonna have to get factory resetted, right? Eat a nuke and come back in the kingdom of newborn babes, man. Okay. So this is Revelation 21 and verse 1. It says, and I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. You saw Edom's world done away with, man, and the bringing in of our world, our age. Okay. Verse 2. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, and this is talking about let me finish out the verse. Coming down from the Most High out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And this is talking about the elect coming out the chariot, and, Psalms 149 in it, man. To bind their kings with chains and nobles with fetters of iron. We're gonna, I haven't read that in a while. Jeremiah, what is that? I think it's Jeremiah 14. Fishers turning into hunters. I think that's in 14, man. We ain't got to go there, but let me quickly see if it is. Fishers, hunters. 16. Yeah, so as it says in Jeremiah 16, man. Fishers into hunters, so we're going to go in them dumbs, man. Them deep underground military bases, them nuclear bunkers, and we're going to get them out and shackle them up, man. Okay? But, yeah, so Israel it's a people before it's a place, and 2 Maccabees 5:19 backs that up as well. Verse 3, and I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, behold, the tabernacle of the Most High is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and the Most High himself shall be with them and be their power. See, so we're going to be able to be in the presence of the Lord finally, because the Lord's eyes are too pure to behold wickedness, but, we're going to be changed to being all righteous, so the Lord will finally be able to behold us. We'll finally be able to dwell in his presence, man. Imagine making that boast. Imagine being able to make that boast. Oh yeah, you was just a couple moments ago. You was just beholding the face of Yahweh. We're gonna be able to do that. Verse 4, and the Most High shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. So that life is getting ready to be forgotten about, man. Done away with, you know, left in the past. And we're stepping into our new life, man. As the sons of God, in our rightful positions. Because we still are the sons of God. However, we're not in our rightful positions right now. But we about to be set up the way we ought to be set up, man. So yeah, that's what I got to say on that. I just wanted to touch on that this morning. So I pray, Lord willing, it's been edifying. Until the next time I say shalom, stay up, stay strong.